Thank you for watching this presentation today. My name is Dr. Haley Morrison from the Faculty of Education, Elementary Education. As I share my presentation with you about my experiences teaching online and a teaching strategy that has become something really important to my own pedagogy, I'm reminded each day how privileged I am as an educated female settler currently situated on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional lands of First Nations and Métis people. Teaching in a virtual capacity over the last year has not been easy. And importantly, one thing that has eased this tension for me personally is being able to connect physically, emotionally, and spiritually with the land. I share this with you because in my own teaching practice, I believe this is one way that I can educate my students through experiential learning and conversations to recognize the importance of knowing where we live and to not take for granted this land. It is further important for me to acknowledge that I live and work on Treaty 6 to remember and to reflect on what has occurred in the past and how we can move forward as I continue to educate myself, my students, and to learn from others in action towards truth and reconciliation. When I was asked to do this presentation, a variety of questions were posed, and I specifically chose to answer, what is one new teaching strategy that you have adopted? However, although this is one specific thing, it has transformed into a variety of examples to share with you to create your own experiential tasks for your type of course and content. Additionally, this strategy that I'll share today might assist you in designing learning experiences that provide students with agency in their own learning, that also encourage connection and collaboration, and is something that you could use in the face-to-face in the future. Teaching movement-based curriculum and pedagogy courses has been very difficult in this online format. I'm really used to having students enter into the gymnasium to do an instant activity and get their body moving, to be in the classroom and participate in daily physical activity breaks, or to go outside and actually take a stroll around the University of Alberta, pretend like we're children on a field trip within the community. These experiences allow students to embody what physical education might be like for their future students. They actually get to engage with curriculum in action through experiential movement and activities within the classroom. To continue this spirit and engagement online, I developed a teaching strategy that is focused on centering professional engagement and experiential opportunities. Now, I say I, but really, this has been a collaborative effort with my colleague, Dr. Loren Sulz in secondary education, as well as my fellow instructors in elementary education teaching our physical education courses. In a face-to-face class, we often have students teach mini lessons, or I'll walk them through and actually mimic what a lesson might look like for grade 1 students. They would play games and they would learn dances all together in this space. So now we're challenged from doing this all independently in our own homes. So how do I engage those students? Well, these experiential learning tasks are now an opportunity to think about the course material differently, to make sure that they're engaging in diverse and meaningful ways, to first learn the content and experience those course concepts. Second, to demonstrate initiative and to engage with the course material and to apply their knowledge from the experiential learning tasks and course material. Lastly, it's important that we're engaging students within reflection. So how this idea came about was asking, what was the point of this activity face-to-face? So when students would dance in class, what was I trying to get them to learn and why were we doing it? And secondly, can I have students engage with that course material or a similar experience at home in an experiential way? These experiential tasks encourage students to learn course material and engage with practical strategies. So the first one here that I'll share as an example was an asynchronous experiential learning task. Students were paired up with another classmate online. So they didn't actually meet to do this. They were tasked to choose different fundamental movement skills, so actions like skipping, hopping, running, and they would create their own GIF. So, in the next slide, I'll give you an example of what this looks like. But they had to connect with a classmate, talk about fundamental movement skills, which was a key component of the course, and then actually create their own videos by engaging in those movement experiences themselves. The students were asked to create a description alongside their GIF and their video. So this is one of the samples that I provided them. As you can see, this child is doing a leap. And then I asked the students to describe 4 ways that they would teach or adapt this skill using Lobbins movement concepts. Now, if you're not a kinesiology or physical education person, you don't know what the movement concepts is. But it's a way that students are able to actually apply that content to their own experience and videos here. Another example was from a synchronous class. So what I had students do was go out into breakout rooms, and in their groups, they created something called a stomp or a step routine. So I'll give you an example here of what this routine would look like. So the students, this is the first time ever doing this. They may not be creating magical routines all in sync, but it was an opportunity for them to actually practice some dance skills. But also, we were able to have discussions around the course material, such as the principle of skill transfer. That means they had to learn their own movements and then teach those movements and transfer it to another student, so that they were also learning skills independently and putting them together into a sequence. So transferring something that's one single movement into multiple sequential movements. This is a skill that we teach within schools. So they're actually taking it upon themselves to learn about what they'd be teaching. Another element would be we also got to talk about appropriate performances and behaviors and how to engage their students in this if they were to do it themselves and have their own students perform skills. So as you can see, there's many concepts that we would be teaching alongside one small experiential task. The last example I'll share is another asynchronous experiential task. And this is one of the first ones that I did within a health curriculum class. So we called these a professional learning engagement instead of experiential, because it's something that we wanted our students to learn about the profession of teaching and how they can actually be developing those skills. So the point of this activity was for students to create their own rant. If you've ever heard of Rick Mercer, you've seen some of his rants before, and there's information here if you want to know more. But really, we're helping students form strong communication skills, advocacy skills, having them think critically, and to use evidence from the course or outside of the course to create a strong argument and rant that they can share, whether it's in a video or an audio clip or a written document. This is really important for our future teachers to be able to stand out and to advocate. Alongside this, we had students actually choose curriculum outcomes that they would apply if they were to morph this activity to use in the future. So it's again connecting to that course material and thinking about how that they would apply this as future teachers. I also introduce students to instructional strategies when we're doing these types of engagement activities. So for instance, here, we're talking about a one-word web. This is also known as a mind map to many people. And lastly, I just wanted to share a little reflection on these experiential learning tasks and what they really meant and how I'm going to continue using these strategies. First, you have to ask yourself, is this just a pedagogical teaching strategy, or is this an assignment and is it a form of assessment that you're using? In my courses, I use this as an assignment, but I also embedded opportunities for reflection. So after they experienced all of these, they got to write a reflection about learning and how that influenced them. Now, thinking forward, I think that these could just be used as a strategy and not tied to some form of assessment or being really selective on which ones are to make sure that it's meaningful and not just an onerous task. Because when I received student feedback on these, there was a point where I needed to know I was maybe doing too many of these tasks and students were finding them quite time consuming. So being really clear in this online format that these activities should be taking place during class time. So that's why some are synchronous, or it's part of an extra to load, which would be an assignment that happens after. Make sure they know why they're doing the tasks and what those key explicit takeaway points are. And lastly, these activities don't always need to be independent. They could be in pairs, like the first example, or in groups, and they can be done synchronous and asynchronous. So making sure you switch up the type of opportunities, I think, is more meaningful to the students and how they engage with the concepts and the learning. Thank you all for listening and watching this presentation. I look forward to connecting with you through conversation during the conference.